That's why we did that.
All right, let's take two. All right, today what we're going to do is we are going to compare the present subjunctive with the present perfect subjunctive, and we're also going to include with that reasons that we need subjunctive, okay? Now, let's start with those reasons. We have 7 of them so far. The number one reason we use subjunctive is when there is a want, and the verb that goes along with want is querer. Excellent. Excellent. So when you use the word want,
Mashed potatoes.
the number two reason that we use subjunctive is the impersonal expressions. Can I please get an example of an impersonal expression?
Es necesario.
Es necesario, okay. What else?
Es bueno.
Es bueno que. Es fácil que.
posible
Es posible que. Very good. The number 3 reason that we learn to use subjunctive is with ojalá, quizás, tal vez. Ojalá meaning God willing, and quizás and tal vez meaning perhaps or maybe. And it's because after these 3 phrases we are unsure of the outcome. The number 4 reason that we use subjunctive.
Desire.
Verbs of desire. Give me some examples of verbs of desire.
Desirar.
Desear,
Insistir.
insistir, esperar. Okay? So we've got a couple different verbs of desire. The number 5 reason that we use subjunctive. Doubt. And we had 5 phrases of doubt that we focused on. There's more than those 5, but those included dudar, es dudoso, no estar seguro, no creo, and then one more. All right, the number 6 reason that we use subjunctive, verbs of emotion. So anytime we express an emotion about something, I'm sad that, we feel bad about, okay, I'm happy about. So those were verbs like alegrarse de, estar feliz, sorprender, to be surprised. All of those included in our verbs of emotion. And then the very last reason that we used subjunctive was with adverbial clauses. And those adverbial clauses included de modo que, para que, sin que, de manera que, and they set up a system where I will do this as long as something else happens, or she does this in a way that something else happens. Provided that, exactly. Okay? So, before we go any further, how do we form the present subjunctive? To form just the simple present subjunctive, you put the verb in the yo form, you get rid of the o, and you switch the ending. So if it's an AR verb, it now ends in es, hemos, en. And if it's an ER or an IR verb, it's now going to end in a, as, a, amos, an. And that's it. The reason it's critical to put it in the yo form is because we have irregular verbs like tener in the yo form becomes tango, or venir in the yo form becomes vengo. Exactly. Hacer in the yo form becomes hago. So any verb that ends in O in the yo form is good to go, but there happen to be 5 verbs in Spanish that do not end in O in the yo form. And those include, and we use the sides to help us out with that. All right, so the first S is for ser, which becomes, you guys remember, sea, seas, sea, seamos, and sean. Yep. I is for ear. You're confusing your present perfect with your participles.
Same verb.
No. All right, so ear becomes vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, and vayan. D stands for dar, because remember, dar in the yo form is doy, so that's not going to work. So in the subjunctive, it's de, des, de, demos, and den. E is for
Star.
estar, very good, which becomes este, very good, estés, este, estemos, and finally estén. And the last S stands for saber, very good, to know. And saber becomes sepa, sepas, sepa, sepamos, and sepan. Okay, so this is the old stuff. What we added yesterday is the present perfect subjunctive. Okay? So we're still dealing in the present technically, but it's how we describe something that would have already happened. Now, anytime we have a perfect tense, that includes what verb? What's the one verb? It is haber. And in this case, haber is going to translate to what? Has or have. So if you incorporate the word, she has seen, we have gone, that's what haber is coming in to help you out with. Now take haber and put it in the subjunctive. What would it be? Haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, and finally, hayan. But haber is not alone. It adds to what we call the participle. And the participle is pretty simple to form. If that participle, if it is an AR verb, the AR comes off and becomes ado. If it's an ER or an IR verb, it becomes ido. And then we just put that all together. So if in the present perfect subjunctive, we needed to say, I have eaten, what would that sound like? Haya comido. How would you say you have eaten? Hayas comido. He or she has eaten. Haya comido. Can you just say haya or can you just say comido? No, they go together. Unfortunately, there are several more irregulars in the participle, but we use V, Fred, Rich, map, V. And as much as you say, we've gone over this, we've gone over this, we've gone over this, in the opening with Socratic today, how many of you missed decir? How many of you missed abrir? How many of you missed hacer? We have gone over it, but you're not recognizing it yet. So the first V is for volver. What does volver become? So let's put down what it is. Volver turns into vuelto. F is for freír, and it becomes frito. R is for the verb romper, and it becomes roto. Good. E, kind of a strange one, is escribir. Escribir becomes escrito. D is for decir, to say or to tell, becomes dicho. What's the other R? Revolver? Revolver becomes revuelto. Imprimir, to print, becomes impreso. Cubrir becomes cubierto. Hacer, hecho. Morir, muerto. Abrir, abierto. Poner, puesto. Good. And ver, visto. Okay. Now yesterday we started to talk a little bit about the sequence of tenses, and I've got a little bit of space down here, so that's where I'm going to put the sequence of tenses. And it goes like this. When we have the present tense or we have the future tense, and those are in our independent clause, and in that present or the future we have a want, an impersonal expression, an ojalá, a desire, a doubt, or an emotion, then your only options in your dependent clause are what? Oh, sorry. Your only options right now are present subjunctive or what? Now present perfect. Okay? Those are your two options at this point. But what's going to make the difference? How am I going to know if I should use present subjunctive or present perfect. If you have the word has or have. But the one thing we talked about is what your want, your desire, your emotion, your doubt, has it already happened before? That's when you need to use the present perfect subjunctive. That's when you need to use present perfect. Okay?